Now, many years ago, my friend Mayor and I used to be on a local radio show yeah, better keep out the road, Matt. Don't want you getting run over and added to the quota of ghosts we've got on this.
The ghost book.
Yeah. It was the late night radio show by John Govier on Radio Devon, and we were like regular monthly guests on his show. He invited us along to tell stories about a particular aspect of the paranormal, and then we get people, phoning in with their queries and what have you. So that was all good fun once a month. And then when it came to Halloween, we said, why don't we do an outside live broadcast in a haunted property? And this is the first one that we chose, the Coffin House. And interesting stories attached to it. The idea was that a young butcher's or baker's boy was freewheeling down the steps here and sadly ran over a little old lady who was taken inside the house as it was at the time, and sadly she died there, and her ghost was the one that we were looking for on this particular occasion. But I don't know if you know why it's called the Coffin House. The story was that there was this young man in love with this local girl, and her father didn't approve of their relationship, and when the young man asked for his daughter's hand in marriage, he said, I'd rather see you in a coffin than married to you. And so he was a bit taken aback by that, but he didn't give up. So what he actually did was build a house in the shape of a coffin. And then he went to the prospective father-in-law and said, I've got a coffin for your daughter now. Would you like to see her in it? And the father liked his ingenuity, and he agreed to the marriage. And this is where they came to live. They married.
And the ones you do get, I've got fucking loads of visitors. It's a scrap. You get older.
So that's the story behind it. And so this little old lady, when we came to do the investigation, several of our sensitives did pick up on her presence here. And then when I was doing this walk a few months ago, one of the ladies on the walk, she said she'd actually done some research and found the pathology report to someone else that had died here, and so we've got, and her ghost was sent here as well. So there's at least two spirits attached to this particular property.
Building goes back a little.
Yes, it does, yeah. And then the following year, again, John wanted to do an outside broadcast, and we went to the old Exeter courthouse, and Sarah, my partner, she knew someone who owned it, and they were about to sort of close it down and turn it into flats and a business. And we got there at the right time, and they said, well, you can come in and investigate. And we did that as part of John's show the following year. And very interesting place. All the electric was off, so we had to go downstairs into what were the holding cells for the convicts before being sort of sent upstairs to face trial. And whilst the girls were sat in there, they picked up on the spirit of a guy called John, who said to them that he was a convict waiting his trial. So there definitely was his spirit still around. Now,
Jane just went past. Who? Jane. What's it?
So we, having had such an interesting time there, Sarah's sister thought it would be an interesting idea to put the idea in the heads of Most Haunted. they thought this, this was something that hadn't been looked at properly, and before it was turned into flats, it would be good to have a look at it. So they did, and they got in touch and they said, "What did we find there?" And we thought, well, why do we need to tell you? The idea is you go in and see what you can find for yourselves. So we just said, well, our findings are up on our website. You can find them there, and so they did. And we were quite excited to sort of watch the program to see what they got, and everything their meeting said was repeating what we'd found. So another, rubbish. Apart from, they added in the name of a sea captain, a Mr. Phillips or Captain Phillips, that was taking convicts from Exeter out to Australia to the colonies, and that was something that we hadn't found. But obviously my surname's Phillips, and so's my partner's sister. That's her surname. So it was like they were giving a little nod to us as a thank you for letting them have all the information. So,
Very good.
Another black mark for Most Wanted. So that was fun. And then another year, John wanted to do a special program to celebrate several years of it being live broadcast. And we persuaded him to go down to Plymouth to the old ABC cinema, which had an interesting story attached to it about how the ushers and usherettes would often see this figure sitting on the front row during the film, and then when the film had finished, all the customers would come out, but there was no sign of this person that was sitting on the front row. So we think they had a ghost there as well. So what we did, John wanted to have like live bands and other acts involved, so we set up a show inside the cinema whilst we then went and investigated everywhere else. Then throughout the show we'd come back and tell John everything we'd found. So that was again another interesting exercise and good fun back in those days. So that's the coffee. Right, let's move. Hands.